Beast hunts. Could you face a starving lion with just a spear? In Rome's Colosseum, Venetian's beast hunts pitted bestiarii against lions, tigers, and bears for bloodthirsty crowds. Around 100 CE, Emperor Trajan threw 11,000 animals into the arena over 123 days, some tearing unarmed prisoners apart. One Damnedus, a condemned criminal, faced a leopard with no weapon, gutted in minutes. Fun fact: Romans imported rhinos from Africa just to slaughter them. Would you stand your ground against a charging beast? Secutor versus Retiarius. Picture a gladiator with a net and trident against a sword-wielding tank. The Secutor, helmeted, shielded, with a short blade, faced the Retiarius, a lightly armored fighter with a net to entangle and a trident to stab. In 80 CE, a famous duel saw a Retiarius snag a Secutor's leg, only to be beheaded when the net slipped. Crowds roared for the kill. Fun fact: Retiarii were mocked as fishers, low class but deadly. Would you bet on a net or a sword in a deathmatch? Naval Battles. The Colosseum flooded for fake sea wars, real blood. No mercy. Called Naumachii, these first-century CE spectacles filled arenas with water, pitting gladiators on scaled-down warships. In 46 CE, Claudius staged one with 19,000 fighters, most drowned or were speared. Ships had catapults firing flaming pitch. Fun fact: the water was dyed red to hide the gore. Would you row into a battle where sinking means death? Carpophorus the Beast Slayer. One man killed 20 animals in a single fight. Legend or lunatic? Carpophorus, a 2nd century CE bestiarius, was Rome's rock star, trained to slay beasts with flair. He once skewered a bear, lion, and leopard in one bout. Then 17 more crowds chanted his name. His secret? A spear and nerves of steel. Fun fact: he trained animals to perform before killing them. Would you face a zoo's worth of predators for fame? Flamma's Last Stand. A gladiator who refused freedom. Why die fighting? Flamma, a Syrian Secutor in the 3rd century CE, won 21 of 34 bouts, earning freedom 4 times but always returning. In his final fight, he faced a Murmillo, taking a trident to the chest, refused to yield, died standing. Fun fact: his tombstone bragged, Flamma lived 30 years, fought 34 times. Would you keep fighting when freedom's on the table? Women gladiators. Women fought to the death. Rome's shocking twist. By 66 CE, Emperor Nero had female gladiators, gladiatrix, battling men or beasts. One bout saw a woman Retiarius net a male Secutor, only to be crushed by his shield bash. Crowds loved the scandal, but elites called it shameful. Fun fact: a 2000 CE relief shows 2 women fighting to a draw, rare honor. Would you cheer a woman slicing through a man? Prisoner versus elephant. Condemned men faced elephants. Guess who won? In 80 BCE, Pompey staged mass executions where damnati were thrown to elephants trained to crush skulls. One prisoner begged for mercy. The crowd booed, and tusks impaled him. Elephants could kill 10 men in one charge. Fun fact: some elephants refused to kill, enraging spectators. Would you face a 10-ton beast with no hope? Spartacus Rebellion. A gladiator turned rebel, fighting Rome itself. In 73 BCE, Spartacus, a Thracian gladiator, led 70 fighters in a breakout from a training school. His arena skills: dual daggers carved through guards. His army grew to 120,000, but in 71 BCE, he fell in a final stand against Crassus' legions. Fun fact: his body was never found. Legend lives on. Would you lead a slave army knowing Rome's wrath? Firefights. Gladiators fought while the arena burned. Insane, right? In 64 CE, Nero's games included Noxii, lowly criminals battling as flames licked the stage, set with pitch-soaked props. Most choked on smoke or burned alive, swords useless. Crowds bet on who'd last longest. Fun fact: Nero fiddled as Rome burned, may be inspired by this. Would you swing a sword in a flaming death trap? Commodus in the arena. An emperor fought as a gladiator, cheating every time. In 192 CE, Emperor Commodus entered the Colosseum as a Secutor, killing ostriches and crippled foes with rigged weapons. He once beheaded a man with one swing, waving the head to silence boos. His fights were murders. He was poisoned soon after. Fun fact: he billed Rome $1 billion for his stunts. Would you clap for a tyrant playing hero? Blindfolded Fights. Gladiators fought blind, pure chaos. Called andibadi, these 1st century CE fighters wore helmets with no eye holes, swinging swords blindly. Crowds roared as they stumbled, often killing each other by accident. One bout saw 2 andibadi impale each other simultaneously. Fun fact, they were usually noxii, forced to die for laughs. Would you fight blindfolded for a jeering mob? Chariot Fights. Gladiators on chariot speed meet slaughter. In 53 BCE, Pompey's games had Esidarii chariot fighters ramming spiked wheels into foes. One driver speared a rival, then crashed, dragged to death by his own horses. Arenas shook with 50,000 screams. Fun fact, chariot wrecks, or naufragia, were Rome's favorite carnage. Would you race a chariot with blades on the wheels? Mass executions. Hundreds died in one fight, Rome's cruelest show. In 107 CE, Trajan celebrated a war victory with 10,000 gladiators over months, many damnati forced to fight untrained. One day saw 300 cut down by pros in a bloodbath, bodies piled for dogs. Fun fact, the Colosseum's trapdoors hid executioners for surprise kills. Would you face a pro gladiator with zero training? Tiger versus buffalo. Exotic animals torn apart for fun, brutal spectacle. In 27 BCE, Augustus pitted tigers against water buffalo, imported from Asia. The buffalo gored one tiger, but claws shredded its flank. Both died as bets flew. Romans loved pitting mismatched beasts. Fun fact, 1 million animals died in Colosseum games over centuries. Would you watch a buffalo bleed out for sport? Crocodile Pits. Imagine fighting a crocodile with just a dagger. Good luck. In 2 CE, Augustus staged Venetians where damnati faced Nile crocodiles in a flooded Colosseum pit. One prisoner stabbed a croc's eye, but its jaws crushed his skull before 50,000 cheering spectators. Crocs were starved for weeks to ensure maximum carnage. Fun fact, Romans chained crocs' tails to slow them. Barely helped. Would you jump into a pit with a 15-foot reptile? Gladiator versus gladiator, duel to death. 2 trained killers, one walks away. Brutal stakes. In 180 CE, a Murmillo faced a Thraex in a no-mercy duel ordered by Commodus. The Thraex's curved blade slashed the Murmillo's thigh, but a shield bash broke his neck. Fight over in minutes. Crowds decided the loser's fate with thumbs down. Fun fact, winners got gold, losers got dragged out by a Charon with a hammer. Would you duel knowing death's the crowd's favorite? Bear baiting chaos. A bear chained to a post, gladiators circling pure madness. In 70 CE, Vespasian's games had bears pitted against bestiarii armed with spears. One fighter got too close. The bear swiped, ripping his arm clean off. Blood sprayed the sand. Bears often won, mauling multiple foes. Fun fact, Rome imported bears from Germany, calling them forest demons. Would you poke a bear that could tear you apart? Call to action. Lions, flames, blind blades. These gladiator fights were savage. Which one shocked you most? Drop a comment. Heard any Colosseum horror stories? Smash that subscribe button for more brutal history, and share this with your friends to blow their minds. Let's keep digging into Rome's bloodiest battles.